Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. It's April 20th, and we're starting a new week here. Uh, let's get to the Bitcoin analysis real quick. All right, so first things first, it looks like we went from a high of about $7,200 to down to 7,000 flat pretty much overnight. All right, and in terms of key levels to watch out for, it actually did come down to a pretty key level for me, which was this 7,097 marker. Okay, so if we look over here, this marker right here, this high, it actually came down to that same level. And I was hoping that just like we did over here and over here, I wanted it to, I guess, push up from here because yesterday it looked like we were creating a mini inverse head and shoulders on the 15-minute time frame. It looked like something like this. And even though this kind of fell through, I was hoping that this could push us up further, but it looked like that didn't happen. And then in fact, what we really did was, sort of collapse down overnight. Okay. And so, like I said, you can see that 7,097 marker right here, pretty much broken. Okay. At least on the smaller time frame. All right. Now, what we need to gauge and assess is, are we starting our next leg down, or are we simply just consolidating in this area? The reason I'm a little bit more careful over here is because if you look at this period of movement and consolidation, it's very analogous to this whole chop right here that we saw. It was very wild, volatile movement right here, and then we finally broke out. Okay, our community was actually in a long over here from 71.25. I think actually we grabbed it over here somewhere, and then we had a stop set for 7,070. And you could see right here, we took that long and we got stopped out. Okay. So, it is part of the game, and we understand that if this trade were to be left as is and we left the long, chances are, we could be coming down a little bit further. So either way, we could get a lower entry, or it's a possibility that we might get stopped out lower, because our stop was initially actually further down here below this low. Okay, so the reason we try to move our stops with the way price is moving with momentum is because that either secures your ability to lose little or also secure profit. All right, so this is one reason, in the Cryptosomniac community, we try to minimize our losses as much as we can. As you can see, we barely missed out on a 40, I guess $45 or $50 move right there. So point is, when you are able to contain your losses, you're going to do far better in the trading landscape. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, so another thing that we're seeing right now is, if you look at this big descending trend line right here, okay, so remember this big descending trend line that comes from this middle of February way over here. All right, you can see we're still well above that trend line right now. Okay, so the fact that we're above that trend line, and we haven't really smashed through the weekly open on a daily time frame, we are under it on a couple of hourly time frames. On the smaller time frames, this is a good sign, right? This is a good sign in terms of shorting. Okay, but on the larger time frames, if we start to go on the 4-hour and stuff, it's still a bit uncertain exactly what price wants to do, because like I said, this consolidation period is very similar to this one, where it's wild movement up and down, and then we finally push up. Okay, now we did a video yesterday for our members. You can actually go check this out on YouTube, and we talked about the pivotal week ahead for the stock market, the oil markets, and the bond markets. Okay, so go check this out on YouTube. We just put this up yesterday. And basically what we're seeing right now is just a aggressive sell-off in oil. Okay, you could see right now, last night when I shut down for the night, it was around $15, and we've now dropped another, I think 10-15%. So since last night's open, okay, we're down now. So since last night crude open, we're down now almost 29%. And this is absolutely nuts, because remember, as I've said before, oil is a big part of the American economy as well as the global economy. Okay, so oil getting crushed is going to be a significant impact on the stock market. All right, at some point it's going to start impacting the stock market because it's not only going to start affecting jobs, which again, the oil markets employ about 8 to 9 million people in America. It's about 8% of total GDP in America. But not only is it going to start impacting jobs, it's going to start dragging the market down too. Okay, because remember, oil exposure has a lot of banks associated with it. So if oil is going down and companies are filing bankruptcy, or they cannot pay back their loans, or they default on their loans, that's on the balance sheet of banks. Okay, so if oil starts going down, banks get hit, and if banks start getting hit, other people in the economy, other businesses, and even the federal government is going to get hit. Okay, so point is, I mean, it's all tied together, all right? And we actually explained this in our analysis from yesterday. You can go check this out on YouTube, or if you want, you can go read about this on Medium as well. We wrote an article about it at the Alpha Trades. Remember, we've rebranded, folks, from Cryptosomniac to Alpha Trades now. I think it's a great rebrand because we've now switched over from just doing Bitcoin analysis to Forex, equities, options, and oil. And then we're going to try to consider adding gold as well soon. So all these things are related, okay? And our community does a fantastic job at explaining to you how these markets are related, what you can look out for a day-to-day basis. Remember that Bitcoin is not in the same, uncorrelated asset that it used to be, okay? It doesn't get to move on its own. In fact, it's completely run by how the stock market moves, whether it moves up or down. So now that it moves the way it does with the equity markets, it's best to understand how equity markets move. And this is one thing that Faisal and I have been doing for years. So we understand a good amount of how equities move. So for us, it becomes very easy to understand how Bitcoin is going to move. So we've pretty much warned our members that, hey, for the most part, we still have a short bias. Okay, it doesn't matter what price is doing right now. Just remember the bigger picture, which is that if we start looking at the larger time frames on the S&P 500 over here, all right, if we start looking at it this way, okay, we are doing nothing but approaching the 618 fib, which is the golden pocket area, all right, and we've hit pretty much key resistance right there, all right, just last Friday. The news is already starting to stack up with more unemployment numbers, more small businesses going out of business, declaring bankruptcies, even larger corporations like Neiman Marcus was considering bankruptcy, JCPenney, Whiting's Petroleum declared a bankruptcy 2 weeks ago. So you can see there's bankruptcies are piling up, all right? And that's going to eventually start impacting the economy. The market just can't keep going up. It doesn't matter how much stimulus the Fed throws. It doesn't matter, okay? At some point, the market will come back down to earth because no matter how much money the Fed prints, the reality of the situation is going to sink into the market, okay? So the fact of the matter is we still got a bearish bias, but that doesn't mean we blindly short, every move, okay? We wait for the technicals to play out. We wait for the perfect moment to strike, and that's essentially when we're, going to consider going short again, right? And you can read all about this on our Trading View or even our Medium articles. I put out a lot of free content, folks. I hope you guys really like and enjoy our content. I hope you hit the thumbs up because it does take a lot of energy and effort to do so. And just, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, leaving us a comment does great things for our community. It helps bring in members into our advantage side. And this is where we have the paid analysis, tons of information on the paid side where we have, evening analysis where we let our community members know exactly what we're seeing in the market, multiple updates through the day to let people know exactly what our thoughts are. We even put out a Forex trade just yesterday mentioning how the European markets are doing. And I wanted to touch upon that a little bit, okay? So here's the thing, right? Around 15 to 20% of all employment in Greece, Spain, and Italy, and Portugal is directly linked to tourism. Obviously, all those things are suffering right now, right? So on top of that, all four of these countries are severely cash strapped, specifically Italy, which is really on the brink of defaulting. If Italy defaults, that means Netherlands and Germany, which are the strongest economies in the Eurozone, are going to get hit hard. Okay, and the Eurozone is already struggling. So I have no doubt that it's going to be a very, very tough battle for the Eurozone in the coming week or weeks ahead. Okay, oil specifically, like I said, you can see Western Canadian Select Oil is now trading at negative prices. Basically, that's like saying, hey, take these oil barrels off our hands because we can't even afford to store them. Okay, so you can see oil across the board, all right, it's getting hit hard. Okay, WTI futures, like I said earlier, what I showed you of US oil, those are down also about 18% overnight. Okay. And then U.S. airlines can't fire anyone until September 30th under the terms of $50 billion government bailout, but they still plan on cutting almost 100,000 jobs. So you can see the pain is pretty much imminent for most people, right? And it's really sad because, we know people in the energy and oil sector. We know people, or we have friends or family who work in the airline business. But at some point, you will know someone who will be unemployed, who will not be able to, maybe feed themselves. They might have to go into government assistance programs. This is why I urge you guys to learn about what's happening in the market. Come join our community, watch and read our updates, and trade with us and understand how to, take advantage of a market like this, okay? Because ultimately it's going to pay off, whether now or even in the future, all right? Because at some point, remember, the market is going to go up. Right? We understand that the American economy is very strong, but you want to be prepared. You want to understand, how to trade in and out of the market if you have to. Again, we can't give you financial advice, right? We can show you exactly how Faisal and I are trading and how we're making money in this market. Okay, that's the best we can do for you. Okay, so with that being said, make sure you come join, go to the Cryptosomniac website. And again, we've rebranded, but we haven't actually quite taken our website over to the Alpha Trades website. So you can go to cryptosomniac.com, hit the products page right there, and join Advantage membership. And remember, we are going to start changing prices, folks, from 97 to 125 starting May 5th, because we're now including Forex, options, oil, and equities. All right. So let's get back to it. Let's get back to the analysis. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to mention to y'all is if we start looking at the daily fibs, right? Let's move this down just a little bit, okay? So from this high to this low, right? Guess where we're close to? We're close to that golden pocket of 618 and 65%. That's about $7,800, $7,900 all the way to about $8,100, okay? So that's about, $900 from where we are essentially, all right? So this is one reason why I'm a little bit cautious that, all right, I don't really know if I want to short yet until I see, 1 hour, 4 hour showing me strength to the downside. I also want to see the equities market starting to break down. And then I don't mind shorting, then I would probably say, this movement right here is kind of like a double top, almost analogous to this one right here. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on right now. And I'll let my Advantage members know exactly what I do, but I urge you guys to be a bit cautious, in terms of blindly longing in this environment. I know everyone and their mother out there is talking about the halving effect and all that garbage, but I could probably say with at least 70% confidence that either the halving is priced in or it was already priced in way up here, and this is just the reverberations of a oversold market when we went down so hard so fast. So this is really your, maybe dead cat bounce. It has nothing to do with, the halving coming up. This is just a dead cat bounce. Really, the miners and maybe major players across the board might be trying to get out in this particular area. Okay, so just be careful about, the whole, narrative about halving and Bitcoin has to go up and all that jazz. Because, to be honest, this is the time for Bitcoin to thrive. Okay, Bitcoin was built for times like this where governments across the board are printing money, governments across the board are doing awful shit where they cannot contain their local or national economies. So if Bitcoin doesn't thrive now, chances are it's going much lower, okay? It doesn't mean it's useless. It just means that its value is far less, okay? And as I've told my members before, that it is very, very possible that Bitcoin could go down to 3,000 or 2,000. I know those numbers sound crazy, but just remember, those numbers also sounded crazy when, we were at 10,500 and then we went down to 3,600 in less than 2 weeks, 3 weeks actually. Okay, so just remember that these markets are volatile. The times that we're living in are unprecedented times, and really anything can happen. Okay, but we keep our Advantage members, updated with the information analysis as much as we can. Even on my Twitter, I put out a ton of information showing you guys exactly what I'm reading, what I'm looking at, and you can see what's happening in the real economy aside from the stock market. You can see the unemployment numbers. You can see more and more companies laying off people. You can see what's happening with oil. You can see what experts are talking about. Jim Bianco, one of my favorite analysts, he said the next 45 days are the most critical period in the U.S. financial history. Says that the stock market expert who profited in 1987 and 2008 crisis. Okay. Even over here, the stock portfolio of companies with relatively little debt lost 7.9% last month versus a portfolio of highly indebted companies which plunged 21.2%. That's Goldman Sachs data. So what this is basically saying is, companies that are over-levered, higher in debt, are really paying the price and really suffering. And Bitcoin is actually one of those fields that is a highly credit-based environment, or not environment, I guess, a credit-based asset class, because remember that, miners themselves need price to stay higher just to be able to pay off their bills, because their bills will start piling up, or they may already have bills, whether it's electricity, whether it's debt from their mining machines, from, whatever they need for coolers and stuff to keep their specific area cool from the mining equipment heating up the area. All this stuff costs money, right? And so if management of the product itself or the stock itself costs money, at some point, those costs are going to outweigh the revenue that's coming in. And then when that happens, and when a majority of the miners get hit, they have to sell. And, no matter what you want to say, miners are some of the biggest people who hold the supply. And if miners start to suffer due to price, that means the structure as a whole of Bitcoin will slowly start chipping away in terms of price and start collapsing faster than most can imagine, which is kind of what happened here. When we went from 8,000 down to $3,600 in less than 24 hours or so right here, no one imagined that could happen. That's what happens though when miners are really stretched out. Okay, so you want to be careful. All right. So let me see here. All right, so again, like I said, we're still above this descending trend line that we broke out of, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods, okay? If we look at price in terms of one level at a time, like I said, this key area right here, let's get rid of this real quick. All right, now let's go to the hourly time frame, okay? If we start seeing that 7,070 is turning into resistance, okay, it does something like that, and then it starts breaking down past at least this key level right here, which is around $6,900, and it does something like this, I think that's your shorting opportunity with a stop above here, and you can start riding this down towards 6,575 or so, and then all the way down to 6,200 at the very least. Okay, that's what I would be doing personally. Can't give you guys financial advice, but I can tell you guys exactly what I will be doing in our Advantage side of the community. So make sure you guys come join. Okay, 97. You'll be grandfathered in for $97 per month. Your rates will not change, but unless you join after May 5th, and then it will be $125. All right, give me a thumbs up if you enjoy our content, folks. Hit the subscribe button, join the Advantage membership, and I'll catch up with y'all soon. All right.